Well, Patrick, Amar was born in Canada but now lives in Israel. He joins us live now from Tel Aviv with reaction to the escalating threats in the Middle East. We appreciate your time. Thanks for joining us, Patrick. I want you to take us back to Saturday to set the scene for us and explain what it was like knowing that there were hundreds of these suicide drones and cruise missiles and ballistic missiles in the air flying towards Israel, not knowing whether or not they would land or be intercepted. What was that like?
Yeah, it was oddly, I was getting messages from all around the world. I'm a tour guide in Israel, so I have friends in the States and Canada and all around the world, and lots of people were sending us messages. Our thoughts and prayers are with you. And by the time the news was kind of delivered to us here in Israel, it was already Saturday night. And so, I don't know, there was a kind of like strange calm because, whatever will be in a way, but also we had this kind of like 9-hour heads up that something had been sent and it's being tracked. And we also have a lot of faith in our armed services, our army, our intelligence, our defense systems. And so when you just kind of stop to think about it for a minute, to say we weren't concerned is a lie. I wouldn't say that, but there wasn't a sense of like panic and freaking out and chaos and like people running all around everywhere. I think we have a lot of faith in ourselves here, and I think that faith was demonstrated when we woke up on Sunday morning to find out that almost all the drones and missiles had been downed by Israel and other nations around us, including Jordan and European countries who also have defense systems in the Middle East. What Iran did, it was not only an attack on Israel, it was an attack on the region and also an attack in the world. I mean, this is spinning into a greater war than just an attack on Israel.
Well, Patrick, I want to ask you about that. It's, right now you've got the Israeli army is fighting a war in Gaza. They're also fighting, having hostilities in the north with Hezbollah out of Lebanon. And now we're seeing this historic moment of a direct attack from Tehran on Israel. I'm wondering, can you give us a sense of what is the sentiment like in Israel now that there's a possibility that this conflict could expand further than it already has to a country that is heavily armed?
It's funny because I'm sitting here in Tel Aviv. Behind me is the Yarkon River that flows into the Mediterranean Sea. And like all around me, people are walking and jogging and boating and fishing. So I'm like trying to put myself into the mindset of an average Canadian who's watching this program and following and tracking the news and thinking like, oh my God, people in Israel must all be hunkered down and in shelters. And I don't know if they would actually believe that I'm here sitting in Tel Aviv. You could just see around me here, just people kind of like strolling out and about. And, they gave us a lot of warning here in Israel as well. It is the week before one of the major Jewish holidays of Passover. So when something like this occurs, it's not just about the civilians. First, it's like about the children. And so, they canceled any kind of like vacation programs. My kids were supposed to go on like, a field trip with their school. That got canceled on Saturday. My son's soccer game on Sunday got canceled. But then guess what? Today we're Monday afternoon. And the field trip got reinstated. The government and the authorities decided that the threat has passed. And so my girls are going on their field trip down to Eilat, the southern city.
Well, we heard from other residents in Jerusalem that there was, some businesses might have been shut down, some school closures for some university students as well. And I'm curious, as we move closer towards this weekend and the holiday of Passover is on the horizon, do you sense that there's more preparations? Is there more security in and around where you are? Ahead of this holiday?
Look, we're always on high alert in Israel, and especially in the last 6 months. So it's not like you're going from like 0 to 100. We've been at 100 for the past 6 months, and some would say even the past 75 years. Okay, but I don't know if you could see, but just behind me, a Muslim couple walking by. People, So we are on high alert, but as a nation, not as like individuals can make up their own minds, but it does seem like, the powers that be here, the army staff, the politicians, the people who are making the decisions here, they're looking macro. They're looking at the big picture. And, the threat from Hamas and Gaza, not to say that it's been completely eliminated, but mostly has been eliminated. And I've been to southern Israel, the area around the Gaza envelope, several times in the last few months, 3 times last week, as a tour guide, taking people there on trips and, doing like fact finding and bearing witness trips to what happened there on October 7th. The threat from Lebanon in the north. You have about 100,000 Israelis that are evacuated from their towns and villages in northern Israel as a kind of precaution that something might or could happen. And because Israel can often get caught off guard, like what happened on October 7th, we can't let that happen again. So, the difference between taking precautions and the actual threat, I mean, I don't know. I'm just a layman over here speaking about this, but we are on high alert, and we have been for several months. This war has affected us not only in casualties, but also people are evacuated from their homes. 100,000 people are staying in hotels of Israel for the past 6 months. I mean, I don't know if you guys can wrap your head around that, but you got to imagine families, children, old people staying in rooms, 20 square meters for 6 months at a time, being uprooted from their lives. Hundreds, tens of thousands of people. And we have hostages still in Gaza, over 100 people in who God knows where. And so, we are in a crazy situation. And this situation with Iran has been kind of unfolding for the last, let's say, 40 years, 20 years, 15 years. And now it's kind of hitting to a head. And now we see that Iran actually, launched an attack on us. It was totally unsuccessful. And now we'll see what's going to happen next.
Patrick, Amar, we appreciate your time. Thanks for joining us.
I hope I was able to help. Thank you.
It was great. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you.